Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Hello Spring podcast. I am your host, Stephen Jody Works, or you may know me as Spring Sims online. But today we are sitting down with a talented content creator who I've gotten to know in the past couple of years, who is not only so talented in gaming, productivity, but is a genuine good human who utilizes their platform to raise awareness for social good. Rosannatxt is a Dutch content creator, Twitch ambassador, and webshop owner whose work bridges through gaming, productivity, and lifestyle, all with a strong focus on mental health, inclusivity, and community. She has created multi-types of content, including live streaming on Twitch, long-form YouTube videos, short-form social content, and her own Notion template business. It's where she helps people bring structure and balance to their daily lives. She's also very well known for her thoughtful approach in creating spaces where conversations around neurodivergence, chronic illness, and LGBTQIA+ identity feel both empowering and approachable. Not only does Rosanna have a big heart for gaming and productivity, but she has a big heart in giving back. Rosanna and her community have raised over $46,000 for various of charities, including Hope for Haiti, Movember, Able Gamers, Games for Love, Hope for the Day, Hope for Haiti, Palestine's Children's Relief Fund, and so many more. She's also a part of Twitch's official ambassador team, as well as their Women's Guild and Pride Guild, reflecting on her commitment in fostering representation and uplifting others in the industry. Her very warm, relatable, and endlessly engaging personality, Rosanna's content is more than entertainment. It's all about connection, advocacy, and building a healthier and more inclusive online world. So, my friends, I will leave you all with this lovely episode with me and Rosanna talking more about her journey, productivity, and gaming, and so much more, because you all will be left inspired. Hello, Ro. Welcome to the Hello Spring podcast. It's so nice to have you on here for season 2. I've been very excited to talk to you because you have so much knowledge when it comes to content creation, organization, all things Notion, and you're just a very good friend of mine that I want to chat with you.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me and having me on.
Yeah, no problem. For the people that are listening and do not know who you are, can you give a brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So, my name is Rosanna or Ro. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a content creator on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, basically all the social medias. I started out as primarily Sims 4, but over the years, I've been doing other things like co working, IRL streams, variety gaming, basically just anything because I just really love being creative and sharing that passion with people on the internet.
I love that. I'm very inspired by what you do every day. You basically have given me the confidence to do co-working like myself on my own streams, but also just be more productive. I feel like,
What? Stop. That's so
yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, because I feel like when you have something in the background to either like listen to or watch, it like motivates you even more to like keep working.
It really does, yeah. I feel like for co-working streamers, there's almost like, two sides to it, is one is, like, hosting the space for other people, but on the other hand is, like, if you are doing a co-working stream yourself, it is so useful for your focus.
It definitely is. You'd be very surprised, like when you have like an hour of like co-working, it's so shocking on how much work you can get done in that hour when you're really
So
locked
much.
in.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It
Well,
actually is, yeah.
well, honestly, to start off the podcast, let's kind of go into a little bit of like your background before streaming.
Yeah, of course. What do you wanna know?
So, before you were a streamer, what were you doing? Because you were like more on the product management side.
Yeah, so I studied facility management, which
Oh,
for anyone who has no idea what it is, the best way that I always explain it is imagine that you have a household to run, but then for a company. So it's the person who's responsible that there is an office building, that there is heating and running water and food, and that things are clean. And it basically meant that you have to like maintain all the contracts and help with event management when people want to book rooms and stuff. And that was the thing I studied for. Ironically enough, I thought when I was like 12, 13 years old, I was like, "This is my dream. I wanna become a facility manager." I don't even know where I found that and why I thought that was a good idea, but that was genuinely my life's dream. And then specifically, the dream was to do, like, moves for big companies. So, like, when they move building, that you organize everything, that you plan out the whole move, that you prepare, like, the new building and make sure that everything in the old building is wrapped up. And that was like the dream. So I did the studies and then I started working at an IT company. And my first big project was moving them to a new building. So I was living the dream. And then I did that. And I was 21 and I was done with my studies. I had done my dream project and I sort of fell into a hole. I was like, I don't know what to do with my life anymore. This is everything that I work towards. And then within that same company, I tried to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. So I moved into a different role, which was project management, which kind of had elements of, hey, you enjoyed organizing such a big project of moving a company from one place to the other. You
Mhm.
probably will enjoy managing other projects as well. And I did that for a couple of years, but I always missed being creative. Like, that
Yeah.
part was always sort of itching, and I never really knew how to fulfill that part of, like, I don't know, my talents, I guess?
I mean, that's really, really cool. I didn't even know about facility management. Like that sounds so big and out there. I'm like, that's really interesting. I like that. And how you kind of navigated from that job to the next job and now into streaming full time. Would you say like when you had those careers and that mindset, it helped you like easily transition to streaming, especially like making it a full-time career of making money on the internet, working with brands, and like making sure you're kind of keeping that work-life balance?
I think it helped in a lot of things. Like, I think if you go into content creation or streaming or like any creative business, I think a lot of people, what I see is they struggle with the organization side of things, like keeping on top of their schedule, making sure that they meet deadlines, working with like variable factors of other people requesting things from you last minute and then sort of having to change everything that you scheduled. I think that's something that I learned kind of the hard way working in a corporate because a big corporate is just kind of like that every single day. And especially as a project manager, you're not just managing your own work, but you're literally responsible for other people's timelines and to do lists and deadlines and stuff like that. So I have a feeling like I could take a lot of those skills and implement it into my content creation, which definitely sort of gave me a kickstart in how professionally I could do it compared to maybe people that were very much still trying to figure out how to self-organize, so to say.
See, honestly, if I had Notion way back when I started, my life would have been completely different for sure. I feel like I would have been a lot more organized with my
Yeah.
video schedule and streaming.
Funnily enough, I actually found Notion through content creation. I didn't even know about it because as a project manager, I just worked in like your boring office tools like Excel and stuff. I
Yeah.
way back in the day was kind of an Excel wizard, but not anymore. I completely forgot that skill because I thought it was so boring, but I actually found Notion through content creation because I was looking for a way to schedule my videos. I think this was
Mhm.
like in my first year, like towards the end of the first year in like into YouTube, I realized I need a place where I can store my scripts and make my planning like in one single spot rather than having like a million different notes and files. Because even as a project manager, even though I was doing it as my daytime job to organize other people's work, in the beginning, I was still quite messy, but I very quickly realized I was like, okay, I need a system. I need to fix this. And then I went looking for the system and I found Notion and I've never looked back.
Hey, that's good. I am nowhere near an expert at Excel whatsoever, but I know the basics, and that's all that matters. But
It's all you
Notion
need.
has literally, that's literally all you need, the basics. Add in a cell here, copy and paste, and share, and that's it.
That sounds perfect.
So when I first discovered you online, it was kind of just randomly because YouTube, of course, like shows like recommendations of like videos and content creators, and even like on Twitch, I find so many different people, and your content was like very like simple, like in a word, like simple, like it was comforting and it was easy to like watch and understand,
Aw,
and I
thank
was
you.
entertained. Yeah, and I like how you like played your Sims and how you like navigated all throughout your Sim creation, like kind of going back to the beginning, like how did you first discover The Sims and like what keeps you coming back to it after like so many years? Because this game franchise is 25 years old. It's
I
crazy.
know. It's crazy, yeah. I think actually from my childhood memories, I have not even that many when it comes to The Sims because ironically enough, my parents were relatively restrictive on screen time.
Ah,
So I was literally texting with my dad right before I joined this call about how they didn't really successfully raise me as a non-digital person because now I literally spend my entire days behind my PC, but they really tried. They really tried to make me like a kid that plays outside and, is not super interested in playing games, but it didn't succeed. I was always sort of gravitating towards games, and I vividly remember desperately wanting The Sims, like begging my parents for The Sims 1. And they were not really sure if that was a game that was suited for, at the time, I was like 5, 6 years old, and they couldn't
mhm,
really tell if I should be playing that game. So I think it took like 2 years of begging and me buying a very broken version on like a secondhand market at some point where my parents were like, "Okay, she's committed to getting this game. We're not gonna keep her away from it, so we might as well buy it for her." And I remember getting The Sims 1 Deluxe, but I didn't really understand it. I think it was even in English, and I obviously at the time did not speak one word of English, so I
mhm.
was kinda lost, and I remember being super excited to have the game, but I don't have a lot of memories of actually playing it, funnily enough. And my most vivid memories of The Sims as a kid were watching my best friend play, like, kind of like, I don't know, early game streaming vibes when
Yeah.
she would be sitting in her room and I would just be sitting on the desk next to her, just watching her play The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 all day. And then sometimes I was allowed to help her make a character or, like, decide what we were gonna do, but I was just mostly there to watch, and I loved it. It was so entertaining. So those are, like, my early memories from The Sims. And then I completely dropped off, didn't play The Sims for years until in 2019, I got a burnout and I was at home for 9 months. So I had nothing to do. I was so bored. And actually, that same best friend was like, "Do you want to play The Sims maybe?" Because she never stopped. She was like, "Hey, I still play The Sims. We now have The Sims 4. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "I don't know. I liked it as a kid, so I guess." So I got my like very old, crappy MacBook Air. And I was like, "Okay, I'll come to your house and then you have to teach me how to play The Sims." I think in the end, we ended up meeting at my house because I have a memory where she's like explaining how to use all the cheats and stuff. And we're sitting at my kitchen table, both with like our MacBooks next to each other. And I vividly remember her being so annoyed that my first house wasn't a box. She was like, "Why are you making such a creative build right away? This is unfair."
My goodness. No.
She's like, "You literally just learned how to do BB move objects. Why are you already decorating like a pro?"
You're a natural.
Apparently, yeah. I don't know where that came from because as a kid, I had 0 skills. I literally made big boxes with 10 million windows, and then I was frustrated that it didn't look good.
No, literally same. I feel like when I first played The Sims, I'm like thinking, how do you build? I build boxes and then I add more windows and add more doors because you gotta have all
Yeah.
that sunlight in there. Oh
Like,
my
just literal
gosh.
glass walls because you kept adding windows.
Yeah. And now that we're like in a way professionals, I'm like, okay, boxes, we can make the box interesting, adding
Yeah.
plants and adding all these different bump outs here and there. And
Bump
now we
outs,
got
yeah.
it's easy now. It's more fun.
It is. I think if I had told, like, Baby Row back in the day, even me, like, sitting at that table in 2019, but even earlier, like, if there was ever a day you had told me, "Hey, did you know that one day this is gonna be your job and you'll actually be, like, good at building in The Sims, and that's gonna make you money?" I'd be like, "No, that can't be right."
No, same. I feel like we never know, like, with content creation, we never really know what to expect. We just, like, love what we do, and then somehow people resonate with it and like, "Oh, okay." And then, of course, we make it into a career. It's like,
Yeah,
"Wow, this is actually kind of
100%.
nice."
It's like I went into it with 0 expectations. I just did it because I was
Literally.
enjoying it.
Yeah. I made, like, machinima videos, like, little short films in The Sims 2, and then
I
I just
remember.
It was my favorite pastime, and now I'm like, I just do other things now, and it's kind of nice. But hey, we love The Sims, we love content creation, and that's kind of like our day-to-day job. We never stop working, really.
No, that is true. I guess that's like one of the upsides is that we enjoy our work so much and that we love our work so much that it's easy to keep going. But at the same time, I also feel like sometimes it's so easy to keep going that you forget you also need to stop and you need to take breaks.
Yeah, very, very important. And on the topic of Sims, like you have been making content for quite some time now, and how would you describe your like overall aesthetic or like storytelling style in The Sims? Like you do a lot of building, but you do a lot of storytelling and gameplay. Like how would you describe
Ooh,
your
that's such
vibe?
a good question. I don't think I've ever thought about it. The first thing that I guess comes to mind is in a way collaborative or interactive. Because one of the things is I didn't actually enjoy storytelling until I started creating content. I went into content creation purely for building. I was like, I don't want to play the game. I get bored really fast. And then I started playing the Not So Berry Challenge on Twitch,
Yes.
and my chat like started giving me input, and that's the moment where I was like, "Oh, hold on. I'm not alone in building this story. Like we can come up with ideas together and people here can sort of build this with me and together they give me like little story hooks that I can use to then build out the story." And I think from there I wouldn't say it escalated, but it definitely became one of the things that I love to do is coming up with like really elaborate reasoning or backstories as to why my characters in my game do certain things. Because for me, that gives a certain depth to my storytelling, which keeps it alive, which prevents me from getting bored. It feels like I'm doing more than just taking care of my Sims needs or doing like chores in game or having them go to work. It's like there has to be a reasoning as to if their needs are perfect all the time, there has to be a reason as to why they are so good at taking care of themselves. Or if their needs are crap all the time, I need to know like why are they so bad at taking care of themselves? And I've realized that the community really enjoys the why behind it and they enjoy like collaboratively building that story and figuring out why a character is acting the way that they do. And that for me was sort of the little magic puzzle piece that made me fall in love with storytelling in The Sims.
I really like that. And like you said, it's a very collaborative effort. And I feel like we all play The Sims so differently, but when we all come collectively together for something that we really enjoy, it becomes something bigger.
Yeah, 100%. It's like the characters sort of like people in my community become attached to certain characters as well because they resonate with what is happening in their lives or like they see a part of themselves in that character. So I think it's also especially in terms of representation, like I have a lot of diversity in my community both on YouTube and on Twitch and I think it is super cool to see so many people like feel represented by the stories that I'm telling and also by telling imperfect stories. So like my Sims also mess up and they learn in life and they're not perfect people. And I think it's nice to see that in game when there is like so much, I don't know. Like I think a lot of people play the Sims where their Sims are always happy. And I think it's sort of
Yeah.
nice to see Sims struggle a bit because that resonates with people.
Yeah, I think it's also very important to like with The Sims, it's so open-ended. Like especially like The Sims 4, it's so open that
Yeah,
I kind of describe it as a sandbox game. You
100%.
create what you want, how you want. If you play on console or PC, it's like you get to build the story how you want and not this like already set up stuff that's already there. Even though it does help, I think you can like incorporate it, like incorporate your own like, mindset and story into it if you would like to.
100%. I think the game gives you like some story hooks or little steps, but in the end it's all up to you to actively play the game and tell the story because the game is not going to do it for you. I think there's a lot of games that do have a very built-in story or multiple storylines that you can follow, but with The Sims it's really like if you are not doing it, nothing's happening.
Right, exactly. They don't have a mind of their own, but
No.
sometimes they do.
Sometimes they
Sometimes
do.
sometimes sometimes it's not the way you want it, but, it kind of can help sometimes.
Yeah. I
Take what
that's
they hand
also
of you.
something that I think I've grown to appreciate more is the chaos of the game sometimes. Like, obviously not talking about, like, bugs or anything that's actually broken, but just, the fact that your Sims have autonomy and sometimes do something just really stupid, and then I just have to work that into my story. Like, if my Sim autonomously decides to kiss someone and I'm like, "Oh, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to work with this now, and I'm gonna have to figure out how this fits into whatever story I'm telling." And that
Exactly.
also keeps it, like, refreshing.
It does, it does. I like when the game just goes sideways because it's like, "Ooh, I can add this little spin to it and see what it can go," and it becomes a whole thing, and then I find out just randomly my brain likes to decide, "Oh, this sim was, like, actually my second cousin once removed from, like, many, many, like, family generations ago," and I'm, like, thinking, "Oh, wait, they're actually, like, brother and sister."
Yep,
Crazy. No,
yep.
it's wild.
Yeah, and then it becomes, like, the best lore in all of your, legacy challenges is, like, the lore that sorta just happened, where the game just
Exactly.
caused chaos.
That's why I want more stuff in The Sims personally.
Yeah, I think if they can keep it in a way that is, like, not breaking the game and running smooth, but there's, like, more
Mhm.
things, just more options for chaos and more things that can sort of happen and then take your story a certain way, I think that would be super fun. I can definitely see that there are certain things where I'm like, "Oh, I wish there was also" not more negativity, that sounds like the wrong word, but I think a
Mhm.
lot of features in The Sims are aimed towards your Sims being happier or living, like, more fulfilling lives, but sometimes I'm also like, "Yeah, but my Sim also could fall off," and, like, I don't know. I think things like the burnout feature or getting fired and stuff, like,
Yeah.
if it's tweaked or balanced, I think it could be so fun because your Sims obviously need to have some hardship in life to also, I don't know, build their storyline around.
Yeah, definitely, and I feel like what's so good about, like, The Sims and, like, being very creative with The Sims, like, how do you keep your creativity, like, flowing with The Sims, especially, like, with how long the franchise's been around? Like, you use your community as a way to be creative, and you also have, like, your own creative, like, ways, but how do you, like, still keep going? 'Cause, eventually, we'll run out of ideas, but then I also think, at the same time, we can always think of something new that's not being
Yeah.
created out in the world.
I think for me, usually when I notice a creative block, when I'm feeling a bit drained creatively and I don't know what I want to do or not like naturally new ideas are forming in my head, my best way to approach it is to do something that is completely unrelated to the thing that I'm trying to be creative in. So if I have no inspiration for building in The Sims, if I have no inspiration for storytelling, I know that's the time for me to go outside and touch grass and usually experience other form of creativity. So go to a concert or like, I don't know, go to a museum or hang out with my friends and have some like really deep conversations because 9 out of 10 times those things will give my brain a lot of new input that without consciously thinking about it will then get used to sort of translate it into, oh, I could do something like this in The Sims, or this would be fun for storytelling, or sometimes it even subconsciously helps me connect things that were already in my brain, but simply because I took a step away from the screen, all of a sudden the things are like actually clicking.
I really like that. That's very important to always take a step back. Like when your work or something that you really enjoy is becoming like overwhelming and stressful, definitely like get outside, touch some grass, as we say, and
Yeah.
really and just enjoy what's around you. Like recently, I've been following you on Instagram, and what I love about your content, it feels like real life. Like it's your real life, of course, but it feels like real life, you know?
Thanks. I'm
And
happy that that's what the vibe it's like giving because that's what I'm going for.
yeah. And you recently went to Budapest.
I did, yeah.
And yeah, and I loved following that story. I'm like, I personally have never been, and I would love to go, but watching your story is like very inspiring to like saying, yeah, we work online and but we have to like disconnect from it sometimes and really enjoy what's out there, like going to concerts you said, and like being able to see different places and new experiences and trying new foods that we probably have never tried before that we can use as inspiration in our everyday content.
Yeah, that for me that makes a lot of difference. Like it 100% recharges my creative batteries and it also in a way obviously like taking breaks in general is good for your mental health. So if you're not in a great place, it's like always good to practice self-care. I always one of the things that I say is self-care is sexy and I really genuinely stand by that. And
Yes.
I should also live by that myself, of course. So I actually was in dire need of a break when I took it. And I noticed it actually only when I came back. I was like, oh, wow. Now all of a sudden I feel so refreshed and energized to pick up new projects that before felt like a huge task and I didn't know how to start. And now all of a sudden I just feel the motivation and energy to start. And I think a big part of that is also seeing other people's art and seeing like other people perform and I don't know, like seeing beautiful things in the world. They always motivate me to create other beautiful things because then I'm like, "Oh, that's like I hope other people enjoy what I make in a way that I also enjoy what other people make." So it's a really motivating thing to experience.
It is. It is definitely very, very important. Like you always say, self-care is very sexy and it's very important to like take care of yourself or your body will tell you, saying, hey, something's not right. If we
Yep.
don't slow down, we're gonna shut down. And it's very true.
Yep.
So, like, I think having, like, that work-life balance is very important, and, like, that's kind of where, like, Notion, at least for me and for you, kind of fall into play, like, it's that productivity tool that we have to use to balance our lives, whether it's work-related meetings, podcasting, interviewing, or just, like, our daily schedule, and how do you use Notion as, like, your content workflow, like, your day-to-day?
Yeah, so for me, I sometimes jokingly say my entire life is in Notion. But that might not even be as much of a joke as I say it because I think it is almost entirely true. I manage my day-to-day to-do list in Notion. So every single week on Sunday, I sit down and I plan out my week. And with that, I basically first plan all the tasks that I want to pick up in a week and I schedule them on different days. And then I go into Notion Calendar and I basically drag them into my time blocks to see if I haven't overplanned myself. Because sometimes I can think, oh, I can do these 10 tasks. But then if I realistically think, hey, but this recording is going to take 2 hours and this recording is also going to take 2 hours, oh wait, that's actually all my recording time for that day. It helps me sort of prevent making unrealistic to-do lists for myself. And I couldn't do that without specifically the combination of Notion databases and Notion Calendar because I really like scheduling things just on my Notion dashboard and then going into my Notion calendar and sort of making that specific task that's just simply on my to-do list that could also be on a piece of paper on my desk, but then being able to drag that into my calendar and assign time to it helps me a lot in visualizing how much work I can do on a day. So I guess that is one very important part in my content sort of workflow is that I schedule my work in a way that I hopefully I'm still learning. Sometimes some days I do
Mhm.
better than others, but that
Yes.
I don't overschedule myself. And then other than that, I have a separate database where I basically plan out all my videos. So every single video has a separate card, and on that card, I can write the script. I can write all the important information. I can link it to my sponsorship database. I can give it a deadline if there is a sponsor attached to it. I can basically have it on a little Kanban board that allows me to see the status of that video. And when I'm planning my week and I'm like making my to do list, I can also link my videos to my to dos so that I can basically from my to do list immediately open that page that includes all the information about the video that I'm making. And it just makes sure that information doesn't get lost because everything is in a single place, which helps me a lot in trying to keep track of all the moving parts.
Yeah, definitely. When I learned about Notion, I was like, "This is so confusing," but I also felt like it's an open-ended thing like The Sims. You create it how you want, make
Yeah.
it your own aesthetic, and I think what was so interesting about it is, like, I come from a background of, like, UI, UX design, so I
Mhm.
really love, like, branding things, and so Notion, like, gave me, like, that push that I needed to utilize that, and when they announced Notion Calendar, I'm like, "Thank goodness."
Yep.
Because the amount of emails that I have is ridiculous. So when I'm able to basically just integrate everything into one calendar and sync it to different calendars, it makes it so much more easier and like more simple to like you said, like time block our
Mhm.
schedule. So that way we don't like to get too overwhelmed or we overplan, especially if we're like traveling or trying to do something very like specific. We have this one calendar that we can use and it's available on like any platform or at least your phone and your iPad and your desktop and different
Yeah,
places. And I don't know, Notion is like one of the best programs that has ever existed. And it's great. Before I used
I
Trello and
agree.
Slack.
Oh, yeah, I came from Trello as well. That was like I Trello was like a good start. I liked it.
Yes.
It was a good introduction. I think if I'd never used Trello, probably I wouldn't have seen the potential in Notion. I think for a lot of people, if you see Notion for the first time because you start with an empty page,
Mhm.
there's like no context. It's like, what can this do? I don't understand how it works. It's an empty page. And exactly kind of like what you said, the comparison with The Sims, it's like it's a sandbox. You can make whatever you want, but that also means that you basically have to understand your own brain really well to
Yes.
build out your digital brain, because if you don't understand how your own brain works, it's really difficult to build a system for yourself.
Yeah, it is. You really like you say, you have to understand your own brain, and that can be quite scary sometimes, but it will be
Mhm.
very helpful over time for
Yeah.
sure. So with your content workflow and everything, since now you are a full-time content creator, because you were once part-time, now you're full-time, like
Yeah.
what would you say is like your typical work week? Because I know that you do a lot of co-working, but you also like balance it out with like other content like gameplay, like in The Sims or like Minecraft or Stardew Valley. But what is like your work week essentially?
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you my desired work week, which I can already tell you is not always reality because unfortunately, more than once I end up having to do like a couple of little tasks in a weekend or something. But ideally, my work week would be that during Monday, during the day, I do a co working stream. So that's basically just office hours. I start at quarter to 10 and I go until 5. And that is time where I can script things, where I can work on like answering emails, preparing sponsorships, like all the admin work basically. Things that I don't have to record for, or time that I can use to edit videos. So that can be either like rough cuts, thumbnails, final edits, making little animations. Just anything that doesn't require me being on camera talking into a microphone can be done on a co working stream.
Mhm.
Then on the Monday evening, I do a gameplay stream. So, kind of depending on the mood, it can be The Sims. Sometimes it's Minecraft. Sometimes it's indie games, stuff like that. On the Tuesday, I have another co working day. So, again, office hours. I basically take the whole day to just work on things that don't require me to be on camera, apart from obviously streaming, but I can't stream and record at the same time. So, that's why that's sometimes a little bit of a logistical challenge.
Yeah.
Um, but then my Tuesday evenings are normally free. Sometimes, depending on like work hours and stuff like this, like exactly like right now, time zones sometimes pose a challenge, so that it does go into my evenings, but that is okay. But other than that, usually my Tuesday evening is free, so I hang out with my partner and I just chill and vibe. Then my Wednesdays are sort of like I call them my potato days. So I prefer to not record on Wednesdays. I can if I have to, like if I have a lot of videos coming up or a bigger project or something. I can use that time because I'm not co-working streaming. But I also enjoy having a day where I don't have to think too much about like being on, and sort of I can just sit here in my pajamas. I will still do work, but it's mostly going to be also things like in my house folding my laundry, or maybe like posting a package. I usually use the Wednesday morning for my workouts. I update my business finance every week. It's like all of those tasks that don't require an immense amount of brain power and you can just do on a bit more like of a chill pace. And then I do
Mhm.
stream on Wednesday evenings, but that's gaming. So I feel like gaming streams, they are officially they are work, but they always feel like just a lot of fun. So I don't necessarily experience it as work as much. Then Thursday, I have another co-working stream during office hours, so more editing, more admin work, stuff like that. And then on Friday is my batch recording day, so I usually wake up on time, and then around 9 a.m. I start recording and I record until 5. And it really depends what's on my schedule. Sometimes I record like one big building video and a Pack Legacy episode, because I always record one Pack Legacy every Friday so that I can send it off to my editor. And then sometimes, like I said, I do multiple videos, like smaller videos that I've pre-scripted, stuff like that. It kind of depends on what I have, but I try to record 1 to 2 weeks in advance at least, preferably 3, so that in the week after I can, like, edit all of that. If I'm working with sponsors, I can already send them, like, the concept version, stuff like that. And, if I'm really busy, like I said, if I need more recording time, I'll do that on the Wednesday, so then my potato day becomes a recording day as well.
Mm, that's a really good work week. I should take that into consideration for myself. I feel like I do so much work that I'm like, I need that one day where I can like just batch record anything. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good work week.
It's the biggest downside is that sometimes because it's the Friday, that's my batch recording day, and sometimes on Friday, I'm just tired because I had a really
Yeah.
long week, like, with a lot of big things happening or sometimes even social events on the Tuesday and the Thursday, and then sometimes on Friday, I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so drained." But today I have to perform in front of a camera the entire day. I'm recording the whole day. And then in the evening on Fridays, I also do a third gaming stream. So Fridays are intense days to sort of close the week with, but they're also fun because I get to literally play games and record it. So it's like always a little bit double, and it depends on my energy whether I'm very happy to do it or I'm more like pushing myself with an extra cup of coffee.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like with this my podcast, I didn't want any of my guests or anybody to have their camera on because when you're online all the time, it can be a lot and can be tiring. So,
Yeah.
especially having lights on and everything, we got to make it chill and very low key. So it's easier that way.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I wish some of my content was different. Like I've also thought about would I want to stream with like a VTuber or without a camera, but I feel like that doesn't really fit me as a person because I like yapping and I like that sort of personal connection. So I feel like I had to fit my potato time in like somewhere else. Which ended up for me being like, okay, what sort of admin work or household chores and stuff can I do? And I tried to all combine that on a day. So that day is the day that I don't have to be on camera as much.
Mm, that's good. And kind of going into that, like with being a content creator, especially full time, the sustainability of it all, like it can be a lot for sure because you make a living online and
Mhm.
like how do you do it all? Because there's sponsorships, there's Twitch subs, ads, templates, and you make Notion templates too, which is
Yeah.
really great and very helpful for a lot of people, especially in The Sims or just productivity in general. Like, how do you kind of like make your like you're making your living online?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that when I started doing content, I did it as a hobby. I was like, I'm just doing this for funsies. And then I think maybe 2 years into it, I started making a little bit of money. And initially, I used all of that to just invest in better equipment, like a camera and a better computer and stuff like that. And then at one point, I was like, okay, well, this is nice. And I started adding more passion projects like the Notion templates, and they started to make me some money as well. And I think it was in January 2024 where I said to myself, like, I was nowhere near a point where I could sustain myself as like a business to live off, but I was like, there's potential here. I could, I think if I focused on the right things, maybe make a living out of this, but I have to start saying it out loud because as long as I'm kind of doubtful whether that's something that I actually want, I'm not going to put my actions towards actually making it happen. Um, so I started saying it to myself, but also to friends. I was like, yeah, I would love to do this as a job sometime. And something that I noticed is that with that, almost automatically my actions and like my choices in my content started aligning with that. So it wasn't like I was all of a sudden dropping anything that didn't make me money, but it was more like I was starting to notice patterns in, oh, if I make specific types of videos, that is good for like growth and I enjoy them. Or if I do like the Notion templates and I make sure to market them well, that is like a nice passive income stream. Um, which over the course of a year led to me saying yes to basically every opportunity that I got, which allowed I wouldn't call it explosive growth because it's not like I went completely viral, but I went from not making nearly enough money to potentially being able to go full time by just having as many income streams as possible and not relying on just Twitch or just YouTube or just Notion templates, but all of the little bits together made for an amount that was like, oh, maybe I can do this as a job. And then I kind of from there got forced because of my health to quit my corporate job because that was asking certain things of me that I could no longer deliver. And that kind of made me take a leap of faith and just go full time. And so far, it's been going really well. But I recently also switched management and I had a good chat with them. And they were like, yeah, you might have to like pick a bit more focus because at this point you're doing so many things that it's almost like your energy is too scattered. So all of your places make a little bit and like they all grow steadily, but not super fast. But if you now sort of bring back that focus and you pick maybe two, three, four things that you really focus on instead of 20 things, you might actually be able to sort of accelerate what you're doing right now. So I'm sort of in that weird limbo right now where I feel like I shouldn't be giving advice on how to do all of it because I actually need to adjust my way of working because it's not really sustainable to try and keep up 20 different income streams because it's just too much work for a single person. And I could do it for a little bit, but now I'm realizing that if I want to do this sustainably for like a long time, I actually just need to choose what I want to do and commit to that.
Yes, indeed, because you don't wanna, like, overexert yourself with too many things, like,
No.
you don't wanna be on every platform when people say you should be on every platform, but realistically, how much are you gonna put your time on those
Yeah.
platforms? You gotta pick, like, at least, like you said, like, at least 2, 3, 4 platforms that you think you would put the most energy into, like Instagram and Twitch and
Yeah.
TikTok and YouTube are, like, the 4 that I feel like I would put more energy in, and, like, I feel
Yeah.
like the same with you too, and with all these new platforms coming out and not really sure if they're gonna, be sustainable for the long haul. We don't know if they're still gonna be here in the next, like, couple of years. Having, like, that core 4
Yeah.
is very important.
Yeah, and it also allows you to sort of align those maybe like 3 platforms and make sure that you have content that matches across the platform so you can reuse content and post them in multiple places. Whereas in my case, obviously, I sort of have 2 streams in my content right now. One is very much productivity focused and like lifestyle and kind of like that sort of direction, and then I have the gaming sort of cozy direction. And I personally resonate more creatively with the cozy and the gaming direction, which still can involve productivity. Like I can still talk about what it's like to be a cozy creator and how I do my work. But I noticed myself sort of splitting up into corporate row and cozy row. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
the corporate row is I can do it. Like, it's not something that is not within my skill set, but I just don't enjoy it as much. It drains me way faster than the cozy gaming side and like the aesthetic setup side and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to sort of reiterate my focus and figure out what I want to do so that I can also be more smart about my content creation and reuse things and, not try to post everywhere all the time. But it's definitely a difficult thing as a creator because when you start out, you kind of have to put your eggs in like a lot of different baskets and kind of see which one sticks for you. Because for some people, TikTok works great. I personally do not enjoy the platform that much. It's just not my vibe. But I
Same.
know for some people, it's like their main platform. It's the one thing that like really popped off for them. And the only way you'll ever know is if you try.
Exactly. You never know until you actually try with making content online, and it can be very scary for sure, like, just going into it for the very first time, but if you have, like, the will and the passion for it, and you love what you do, then might as well try, especially if you don't see the stuff that you're creating out there already in the world.
Exactly.
And honestly, there's a lot of, common misconceptions about people, like, on the internet of not knowing, like, are you truly making it as a content creator? Like, what do you think is the like common misconception about people saying you've made it as a full-time content creator? Like you're making all this money, you have all these followers, and like, what do you
I
think?
think that you, as soon as you've made it, that you're rich and that you get to be lazy. That
Right.
you get to, like, lean back and enjoy sort of the quote unquote, like, big air quotes, like, the fame that you've established, like, there like, once you have it, it won't go away, and I think that is something that externally is really easy to assume, But once you're on the other side of the table, I think every single creator knows that pressure, like, sorta sometimes,
Yes.
like, crumbling under the pressure of, "But I have to continue posting. I have to be present." Like, as soon as I'm not there, I'm gonna fall off because the algorithm is not built to keep your fame up when you're not there. Like, it's just gonna forget about you. And I think a lot of people assume, like, oh, once you've hit 1K, like, followers or subscribers, you have that forever. Like, no, though that can go away, and you have to
Yes,
work
it can.
really hard to maintain it.
Yes, yes, indeed, because the algorithm can be crazy, and so as soon as you don't post for a couple of days, it's like, "Well, where have you been?
Yep.
People forgot about you," and it's so scary, so you have to, like, really put in that extra work to, like, take that break that you want, so that
Yeah.
way you don't be like, you are not forgotten through the algorithm, of course, especially, like, on
Yeah.
YouTube and Instagram and even
Very
TikTok.
much. Yeah.
Um so with all that being said, like running a business as a creator can be one or two different things. You can work by yourself and just do everything yourself, but you can also have a team, whether it's having an editor, a manager, an agent, finding new deals, editing your videos for you, or like managing your email.
Mhm.
And with all of that, because they make money, you make money, and lo and behold, sometimes people do make LLCs and, like, actually run a business, like, to it. Like,
Yeah.
how do you handle, like, the business side, like taxes, contracts, brand deals, like, while staying, like, creatively fulfilled?
Yeah. So when I started Switch, I was lucky, I guess, that I already had a registered business. Way back in the day, actually, right at the start of the pandemic, I registered my business because I wanted to do photography as like sort of a side
Ooh.
hustle. And I really enjoyed, like, doing photo shoots for people. I think that was one of the first parts of me trying to explore what I could do creatively. I think in the end, photography wasn't the best match, but it was, like, a good start. I think I can still use that skill in content creation this day and age. But that, like, allowed me to already have a business right from the get-go and to officially register things like any income that I made from Twitch or YouTube and stuff like that, to at least have it come in through a business and make sure that in the Netherlands it was like legally acceptable that I was getting money from different places in the world. Um, I do remember in the beginning being extremely lost on the taxes situation. Um, Also because the laws here in the Netherlands are extremely outdated. So
Mhm.
I even had a consult with someone from the tax agency, and I asked, like, okay, so this is my situation and I'm getting paid out from like the US from Twitch and I'm getting paid from like Ireland for YouTube. How do I register this? Like how does this work? And how does this work with VAT and taxes and stuff? And this person looked at me and he was like, I have no idea. Like our laws and regulations on the website, that's the information we have. And I'm like, yeah, but that's about a web shop. I don't run a web shop. I make content. And this guy was looking at me like he had no clue what I was talking about. So in the beginning, I was definitely nervous about the business side of things because I just simply didn't really know what to do. I think for me, as soon as that moment that I started saying to myself, I want to do this as a full-time job, I also started aligning my sort of admin actions to it. So I looked for a bookkeeper, which helped massively in answering questions about how should I do my bookkeeping and my administration to be, compliant with the tax rules and stuff like that. And that took a lot of stress off my plate because I was really worried that I would be making money and then, maybe 2 years, 3 years into the future, the tax agency here would just knock on my door and be like, hi, girl, you owe us a lot of money. And then maybe I would have spent that money or something. So it's nice to know that I'm now just doing everything the way that I'm supposed to, and I'm very happy that I have help with that because I could not have done this by myself. So I think that would also be an advice that I would have for everyone is like if you're struggling, if you experience a lot of stress from things like this, is always ask for help because it will drain you from your enjoyment of the thing you're doing, whether that be content creation or anything else if you're literally only worrying about if you're doing it right or your money or stuff like that. It's just it takes every little bit of enjoyment out of it and it makes it a struggle. And I was so happy that I outsourced it. um
Yes.
yeah, so that's like that part of the business side. And then in terms of working by myself versus working with other people. I think 2 years ago, I realized that with editing, specifically editing videos for gameplay, that was just not my strong suit, but also I didn't enjoy it as much. So I looked within my own network to see if I knew people that could help me. I'm very lucky that the people that have edited for me at this point are 3 people, and they were all part of my moderator team on Twitch. So I already knew them, and I already felt, like, really comfortable with them in terms of communication and working together, and it just makes it easier rather than having to kick off with a complete stranger.
Mhm.
So that was very nice, and I still work with 2 of them. One of them actually realized that they were more into, like, or they didn't realize that, they knew that already, but, they realized that, gameplay editing wasn't really what they enjoyed in editing. They wanted to do more, like, movies and creative things, so they ended up
Mm.
saying, "Hey, this is not really my cup of tea," but I'm still working with 2 of my moderators for editing. One does my weekly Pack Legacy episodes, and one, helps me with editing Twitch streams, like speed builds into, or, like, actually Twitch builds into speed builds. So I'm very happy that they are helping me because I would not be able to do all of that by myself, and I also wouldn't enjoy it. And then I started working with a management about a year ago, and I recently switched management because I was looking for a little bit more like specific one-on-one help. And my previous management was very young. They were very like
Mhm.
starting up. So they, in terms of agency management, they were more doing like bigger deals for the whole agency rather than doing like very targeted one-on-one, like what do you want to build as a creator? And I just needed an agency that could help me a bit more with building my brand specifically rather than just taking on sponsors because I needed money.
That makes a lot of sense, and I like the branding of your management. It's not management, like, that's
Mhm.
really cool. I like the art style of everything, it's
I know.
very
It's actually
nice.
it's made by someone in the agency. They hand draw everything. Like they make everything themselves. It's really cool.
They must have been a graphic designer back in their day.
I have to ask. I actually don't know. I'm just impressed because they make custom artwork for like every single talent that signs with them. And when I saw mine, they were like, "Oh, do you like this?" And I could also like ask like, "Oh, could you maybe add this into the background because I feel like that matches my style or like my vibe." So it was a really cool
Mhm.
process.
Yes. I like that everything's yellow, so that's
That
what I
does fit
love.
you.
Yes, it does. So with all that, like now having like new management and new exciting things happening, this happened to you like recently. You became a Twitch ambassador, which a lot of people always look at that as like that is really cool. Like you are like the highs at the high, you're representing Twitch in a different way, helping the creator community and talking to Twitch. And like that's a really incredible like recognition and like accomplishment. Like what was your initial reaction when you got like the email saying or like I guess a video form saying that you're now a Twitch ambassador?
Yeah, so there's actually a whole process that goes in front of, the announcement. So the announcement went out from the top of my head end of March this year. I had
Hmm.
known since October 2024 that I would be an ambassador. So it was really difficult to keep my mouth shut for 6 months. It was like really really hard because I was not allowed to tell anyone. And I told like my partner for instance, but they're not really involved in Twitch. So that
Hmm.
was okay, but like any of my content friends, I had to keep my mouth shut and it was so difficult because obviously it was a really exciting thing. Like I felt really honored when I got the initial email. You basically get invited for sort of like a job interview. They ask you like, "Hey,
Hmm.
we would be interested in working with you, but we want to get to know you first." And then after that interview, they can technically still tell you like, "Oh, well, after our initial conversation, we realized maybe it's not a match after all." So
Hmm.
they told me like, "Okay, we do the interview and we'll send you an email in 2 weeks." And I would be going on holiday. So I was in Aruba on the beach when I found out that I became a Twitch ambassador. And it was very surreal. I remember really thinking to myself, like, is this like really happening? Because I vividly remember filling in the form for Twitch ambassador, like the interest form, and basically answering all the questions and kind of just sending it in with the thought of would be really cool, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen. Not because I don't think I could do it, but genuinely because I know there are so many amazing creators out there that I can just see them picking like so many other people that would also be perfect for the role, that I just kind of assumed it wouldn't happen. And then I got that email and I was mostly just shocked and surprised.
Hey, and look at you now. You're doing great
Yeah.
at it. And
Do
I
you want to
think,
actually hear a fun fact about this?
yes, I do.
At the end of the form, which I submitted like 2.5 years ago at this point, they ask if there's anyone that you recommend to become a Twitch ambassador, and I filled in your name.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
well, thank you.
because, like, from the get-go, from I think very early days on Twitch, I feel like for me, you are definitely one of the people that represents, like, what Twitch and Twitch culture should be about. So I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, you should definitely be a Twitch ambassador," so I filled in your name.
well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I filled that form out eons ago. I don't like think maybe like 3, 4 years ago, probably at this
Yeah.
point. But you never know. Whenever I hear something back, that'd be really cool.
It could
Um,
honestly be years after. I had the same. I filled it in, and, like, 2.5 years later, I got an invite.
yeah. So you never know. They're always looking. They're
They're
always
always
looking.
looking, yeah. I think my personal theory is that, they check the form after they hear about you or they, like, notice you in another capacity. So, if you're, like,
Mm-hmm.
doing a big event or something that makes an impact, then they will be like, "Oh, this is a person of interest. Let's see if they filled in the form." This is purely guesstimation. I have no idea if this is actually how it works, but I could see that being like a process that's also relatively sustainable if there's so many creators out there that they kind of
Yeah.
handpick based on like maybe word of mouth and then they check like is someone
Mm-hmm.
actually interested in the part by filling in the form.
Yeah, yeah, that's totally true. Like honestly, by the time this episode like even comes out like in December, I mean, I can tell you now because I filled out the Forbes 30 under 30 application and everything. And so when I was like I had my manager help me and I had a few other people help me like figure out some stuff and like make a good, little bio and
Mhm.
application and then have people like nominate me and stuff.
That's
So
so cool.
I know. I'm like, this is like, it's been a dream of mine since 2011. So
That's a
I feel,
long time.
I know. I'm like, I planned out my entire life. Like I'm a planner. And in eighth grade, I planned out my entire life until I was 30. I'm only 29. I'll be 30 in February of next year. And I was like, the top of the line was like, be on Forbes 30 under 30. I'm always manifesting good things for myself and other people. And I always say, put out your dreams and goals
Mhm.
out there into the universe because the internet is forever.
True.
And now I'm like, they've considered me as a nominee. Doesn't mean I actually got it, but like
No, but
being
still.
considered, I know it's crazy. So
That's so cool.
crossing my
I'm so excited
fingers.
for you.
When Emma got one, I'm like, "Okay, one
I
simmer.
know. I
Let's get another
know.
simmer on the list."
It's opening doors, I feel like. Genuinely think that when I saw her on the list, I was like, "This is really sort of opening up opportunities for everyone on this side of content to be
Yes.
recognized on a list like that."
Yeah, it definitely is, and, like, that's why I feel like with big corporations like Twitch, having this Twitch ambassador program is so huge because they want to grow. They want to make Twitch the best place on earth, really, of what it's
Mhm.
like streaming or making video gaming content. Because Twitch was built on gaming, but it has expanded so much more than that
So much more.
through co-working, coding, puzzle making, game development. Like there's so many intricate things on Twitch that makes it a very special place. And I think with being a Twitch ambassador from like your standpoint, like how do you approach like community building on that platform? Like how do you work with Twitch in that role?
Yeah, so something that I think my community lately joked about it because I got very passionate on stream because people were like talking about how it you don't count as a viewer if you mute the stream. And
Mhm.
literally as they said that, there was a little chat going on in the ambassador Discord group about how that's actually not true and Twitch has been trying to kill this myth for like many years, and they sort of it keeps resurfacing. Every year there's people that are like trying to figure out what the reason is that their view account is like fluctuating. Whereas
Mhm.
instead of sort of thinking, "Oh, that's just normal, that's life, people come and go and that is just part of content creation." People like spin up the weirdest reasons as to why things are changing. And I got really passionate about being like, no, but I actually want people to be well informed when it comes to content creation on Twitch, because there's already enough struggles. There's already enough challenges, especially in like overcoming maybe your own fears of actually going on camera and stuff like that. That I
Mhm.
don't want people to experience additional sort of thresholds of like, oh, I can't stream at this time because then this or this or this happens, even though that's not true at all. Um, so I think something that has been for me at least very helpful is having a direct line to Twitch to be able to check things. So when I'm hearing things in the content space, whether that be on Twitch itself or maybe like on TikTok or people like outside of Twitch talking about things on Twitter, it has helped me a lot to sort of be able to check like, "Hey, I've heard this. Is this true?" And then they can either like confirm it or they can say like, "No, this is absolutely not true," which helped me a lot in being able to communicate truthfully towards people in my chat, but also around it, like on other platforms, to hopefully advocate for, a platform where creators are well informed about
Mhm.
how they should be building up their content strategy and how they should be approaching their content to also be successful. Because I love my job and I would love it if more people were able to not even just do it as a job, but just do it as much as they wanted to, whether that be part time, full time, as a hobby, but at least feel comfortable on the platform. So I think that's something that as an ambassador, I really enjoy doing, is sort of doing that educational side also from like outside of Twitch itself, like at a TwitchCon event, for instance. I love doing panels and helping people learn more or understand more about the thought process into content creation and what works and doesn't work on Twitch. And I did a panel in Europe about discoverability on the platform, which was definitely interesting because it sort of opened my eyes to specific questions I didn't even realize people were wondering about. So it helped me sort of also reflect on like, oh, so this is what sometimes people feel like is a reason to not stream, even though it's not even true. Like
Mhm.
like helping people sort of break that barrier and actually go live and actually start creating content, because they feel more educated and more like knowledgeable about the topic and how the platform works, is something that I loved already before becoming an ambassador, but now I feel like I have more tools and insights to actually provide to people as well.
I like that, and that's why I feel like you are such a really, like, passionate and knowledgeable creator for the Twitch community, YouTube community, productivity community, and, like, you are one of the people who founded the co-working and coding, club for Twitch recently.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just like very, because like a lot of people really want to understand like how does Twitch work as a platform? How do we do these different things, and how can we really take in that mindset of can we make this a career for ourselves or make this into a wonderful hobby for
Mhm.
ourselves? And you are doing the great work, honestly. You
Thank
truly,
you.
truly are.
I love
And
it.
so I I love it too. I hope we can continue to do this for the rest of our lives as much as possible.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But to wrap up this lovely little podcast here, I
Mhm.
would love to do some rapid fire questions with you.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. What's one Notion page you cannot live without?
My home dashboard, because it has all of my to-dos and projects in one place.
Very good. Favorite Sims pack of all time?
That is such a horrible question. Why would you do that to me? Oh, you can't make me pick between seasons and cats and dogs. Like, I need both.
Oh, okay, good. I'll take it. I'll take it. Uh, morning or night person when it comes to content creation?
Want to be a morning person, but I think I'm a night person.
Mm, same. I wanna be a night person more, but I'm a morning person sometimes.
Yep.
Um, what's one cozy game you recommend besides The Sims?
Ooh. Um, I think if you are okay with, a little bit of thrill, Minecraft, 100%, but I know that that's not for everyone because of the monsters, and I know that for some people that really takes the enjoyment out of the game, but I love Minecraft. If you're just
Mm.
looking for a really cozy game, I love Palia.
Ooh, I need to get back into that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I haven't played it for such a long time and they've had so many updates, but that game is one of those that I always come back to. Like, even if I don't play it for 3, 4 months, there's always that little voice in the back of my head that goes, "You should be playing some Palia again. It's fun."
Yes. I would also recommend too Tiny Bookshop. That is a very, very fun game.
I bought it this weekend. I haven't had the time to play it yet, but I'm very excited.
You're gonna be hooked. I love that
Uh-oh.
game more than anything.
I've heard
Oh,
literally only good things about it.
oh, you're gonna be hooked. I will definitely have to ask you your your thoughts once you start
Yes.
playing it.
I hope like
Um,
I think next week somewhere I'll have some time to actually like sit down for a couple of hours and just chill and play it.
oh, fun!
Yeah.
Yay! And last and final question: what is next for Rosanna TXT? Anything exciting coming soon?
Ooh, well, considering that this is recorded now, but it's
Mhm.
only airing later, do you want me to answer for anything that will be technically in the past when this goes live?
Yeah, feel free.
Because then I think the most exciting thing coming up is TwitchCon US. There's gonna be
Yes,
a lot of really cool panels that I either am joining or I submit it and get to host as well. And actually, you will be on one of them.
I
Um,
will, and I'm
yeah,
so
which is
excited.
I'm very excited about it. We're going to chat about charity fundraising, which is a topic that's super near and dear to my heart. And I think for everyone on the panel, it's super near and dear to our hearts. So I'm very stoked about that. And I think next to that, related to charity fundraising, is in November, I'm going to do another big month long fundraiser for Movember. I do that every single year specifically to help break the stigma around mental health and like mental health conversations for men because I think we live in a world where there is not enough kindness for that topic and we should have a lot more. So
That is very
yeah,
true.
I'm very excited about that. I'm already like planning everything. I have a lot of fun goals and incentives that I'll probably regret afterwards, but right now it sounds like fun.
I am very, very excited. I always looking forward to your charity streams and all the things that you do. I'm looking forward to that lemon costume.
God, the
Eating
lemon
lemon
costume.
bars. Yeah,
Yeah, it always comes back. This year it's on the goal list again. There is more shenanigans in the lemon costume.
very good, very good. Well, Rosanna, thank you again for being on my podcast for
Of
season 2 of Hello
course.
Spring.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you for having me again. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, anytime. And also, where can the people find you on the internet?
Yeah, so my username anywhere and everywhere is Rosannatxt. So no matter which platform, you should be able to find me under that name. But my primary focus would be Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram.
So, my friends, that was the end of today's episode with Rosanna. And I want to thank Rosanna for giving me the time to talk with you and being on my podcast. You could have said no, but I thank you for being on the podcast today and hanging out with me, chatting about gaming, productivity, your journey about being a content creator of where you started to where you are at now and what you're going to do for the future. And I just want to thank you so much for utilizing your platform for good. You've done so many fundraisers for Movember, Hope for Haiti, Hope for the Day, Games for Love, Able Gamers, Palestine's Children's Relief Fund, and so many more. And the way you take this idea and cultivate your community and they come together to lift you up but also lift other people up each and every day makes me so happy to know that you are building a true, genuine, healthier, and more inclusive space for the online world, like you said. And I cannot wait to see what you continue to do for the future for 2026. And knowing that today is December 23rd for this episode, we are the last episode of the year for Hello Spring. And it's kind of a great way to end off a good year with some good holiday cheer and raising awareness for social good. So if this episode left you all inspired, I will leave all of Rosanna's links down below in the description to her main website, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Blue Sky, all the fun places where you can check out her social content, long form or short form, and including her storefront for all things Notion related. I love Notion, I love being productive, and Rosanna is literally the Notion queen for all the things gaming, real life, whatever it might be, she has it for you. Especially when she does her co-working streams live on Twitch throughout the week for several hours a day, where you feel accomplished when you add a task and complete that task, whether it's reading, writing, cooking, cleaning, folding laundry, whatever it might be. Rosanna's co-working body doubling streams are a sense of comfort, accountability, and honestly, calmness at the end of the day or the end of the week. But of course, check out her streams, check out her content online, whether it's long form or short form. All the links will be down below with her website for some Notion templates to be productive. And as Rosanna always says, self-care is very sexy. But as always, my friends, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. I will see and hear from you all next time. Bye!